This is Rat Pack Radio, the internet radio station that brings you everything from the top hits in music.
Hey guys, this is Bruno Mars.
Hey, it's only, come on, put your pinky rings up to the moon.
To Sports Talk Radio.
With the first pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Goff, quarterback, California.
We are here for you, WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Come join the pack.
You're listening to WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Come join the pack. You're listening to Rat Pack Sports Show on WRPR Rat Pack Radio.
Blue, you're my boy! A genius. A man who has a reputation to be the best at what he does.
You see, a man has to realize his limitations. You don't know me, and you don't know what I'm capable of.
That was a heck of an effort.
This house is a prison, and the galaxy of this sucks.
You're free enough. Battle is over when I say it is over. I will massacre you.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Are you not entertained?
I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
That's how I roll. Offensive fire!
Hello? You play to win the game.
There's a drive! Way back! It could be!
This is my favorite part coming up right now.
All right. Rat Pack Sports Show. We are back. We are live. Rat Pack Radio, WRPR. Streaming online, ratpacksports.com, and also the Rat Pack Radio WRPR app. You can find us online, Facebook, Rat Pack Sports Show group and like page, Twitter at Rat Pack Sports with a Z. You can find us on Podbean. Those are our podcasts, ratpacksportshow.podbean.com. You can find us on TuneIn. You can find us on iHeart. You can find us on Spotify as well. We're kind of, all over the place, all over the place. But we are here. It is Wednesday night. And again, as I said last week, the next couple of shows may be started a little late due to my daughter's team. They're in the conference tournament, so they're playing their games on Wednesdays. So I'm not going to go on live doing the show and try to watch those games at the same time. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to concentrate. So we're getting started a little bit late, but that's okay. That's okay. We still got time, and we still got some things we're going to cover. So we're going to have Nicholas Lane joining us here soon, and we're also going to have Nikki Buckets joining us as well to talk some NBA. And we're going to just start off with the NBA anyway, because there's been some things happening in the NBA, and I just want to get into it real quick before Nicholas Lane gets here and William Graves joins us. So earlier today, in the Rat Pack Sports Show group, we all conversate throughout the week. Boss Hawk Sean Naylor, and William Graves, left field correspondent, Nikki Buckets, everybody. We usually post like any breaking news or anything like that in the group. So, doing so, we have a little conversation. Well, this came from an outside of the group, but I know Nikki Buckets probably heard the announcement. So the NBA commissioner, Mr. Adam Silver, and I'm just going to go on the record right now and say there's some NBA faithful that hates Adam Silver as much as a lot of people, NFL hopefuls, hate Roger Goodell. Paul Tagliabue was a great commissioner in the NFL. Stayed low-key, behind the scenes, didn't get involved in a whole lot, and, just ran the league. There has to be a balance between ownership and players. There has to be. And there's a lot of people that seems to think the players having more control is a good thing. It is. It's better than them not having a say, but you can't give them too much because then you start turning the league into whatever they want to do and kind of getting away from why people actually watch the game itself. So, Paul Tagliabue kind of stood off. Roger Goodell is more hands-on. I would say kind of a, egotistical, micromanager type of GM. The game of football has changed in the NFL to the point where if you're a diehard watcher of the league, diehard football, through to the core, you kind of don't like some of the rule changes. It kind of messes with the fabric of the game. It messes with the integrity of the game as far as, records and things of that nature. You got a 17-game season now. They wanted 18. They settled for 17. And now you see more records are going to be broken in that 17th week. Now, obviously, the NFL hadn't always went to a 16-game season. They hadn't always been 16 games. They were, I think, 14 games, 12 games. And but I think 16 games is a sweet spot. It's a sweet spot, especially in the time where we talking about player safety. Adding games, moving, games to Saturdays and playing on Thursday nights and all of that really is a contradictory thing that the league is doing, because if you're worried about player safety, I play the game. A lot of fans that watch the game play the game of football. It doesn't matter what level of football you played. There's a recovery period that these players has to go through to be ready and prepared to play that next game. A Thursday night game doesn't do it. If you played on Monday, if you played on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you're recovering. Wednesday, you may feel a little bit better. Thursday, you feel pretty good. There's a time frame. I don't think a lot of people understand the time frame of just getting over the game before. So pushing the Thursday night game, football, a lot of people say more football is good. I'm a diehard, fan of the game, but I'm not that dude. I'm not that dude that says more football is better. So I don't care really about the Thursday night games. it doesn't do anything for me to say, well, more football is better. No. You want to see good football. You don't want to see Thursday night games, and probably 80% of the games are trash because the teams are playing not unprepared, but they're playing not at full strength. You don't get Sunday games that look like Thursday night games. You might get blowouts, but you don't get Sunday games that are just uncompetitive. So that was something to me that was a change made that hurt the league. It hurt the league. It hurt the game. Yeah, you making more money. When is enough, right? They're making plenty of money. So I don't think they're hurting. I don't think they're hurting for money to the point where you say, we got to add an extra week, or we got to add an extra game, or we got to add an extra playoff team so we can capitalize and get out of debt. It ain't that type of situation. They just looking for more money. And, if I was the players, and, I know they made this a major sticking point in the negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement, but I wouldn't have agreed to nothing. You want 18? You say, oh, we will settle for 17. I don't even want 17, man. Keep it at 16. Keep it at 16. That extra game, did it really matter this season? No, we could have went into the first round of the wild card playoffs. We didn't need that 17th game. Yeah, you had some teams that the playoffs was decided on that 17th game, but it was also decided on that 16th game. So does it matter? Just like everything else. If it's a tie, we go to the tiebreaker scenarios. So the 17th game really, to me, is trash. It is trash. That's my thought. So back to the NBA, where I'm going to tie all this together. Adam Silver, David Stern brought the NBA out of, a bad spot to where they were, when he stepped down. A great game. The foundation of the game was still intact. Players still gave a crap. They still played hard. The superstars played. They didn't take games off. You didn't change rules to allow illegal rules to become legal because you want to score more points. I mean, y'all have heard this rant before, man. The gather step, the James Harden step back, those travels. In fundamental basketball terms, once you pick the ball up and you don't establish another dribble, you got 2 steps. That's it. 2, not 2.5, not 3. Not, he didn't put 2 hands on the ball, so therefore it still is a live dribble. So you trying to tell me I can take 2 steps on a gather before I put 2 hands on the ball, then you're going to allow me to take 2 more steps after that? You're going to give that leeway to professionals? Yeah, I see people do that with, little kids when they're just developing and they don't understand what a travel is, and you kind of want to teach them, but you don't want to slow the game down by calling travel every single time. I see that on the youth development level, right? On the professional level, you're going to give a professional athlete at the peak of his prime 2 extra steps to make a move with the basketball. That's garbage to me. And when you start changing and bending rules that were once illegal in the league just for offense, you're messing up the game. You're messing up the game, man. Period. You're messing up the game. And not only are those rule changes in effect, they're excuse me, they're also only NBA rule changes. On the youth league, rec, middle school, high school, college, FIBA, they're still going by the foundation rules. So you try any of some of the moves that they get away with in the NBA, anywhere else, they call in travel. So you want me to glorify some dudes that can't even play the game the way that it's supposed to be played. You want me to sit here and say, oh, this player is the greatest offensive player ever or the greatest shooter ever when they're allowed to travel before they get off a shot. You're trying to tell me that today's game of professional basketball is better than the 80s and the 90s where they still played team basketball, they still played team defense. You still had all 5 positions, center, power forward, small forward, shooting guard, point guard, and they all had their own individual responsibilities collectively put together as a team. Other than today's game where if I'm a 7-footer, I want to be a shooter, and I don't even want to play with my back to the basket. So because a 7-footer could dribble, shoot threes, they're all of a sudden, some of the best 7-footers we've seen. Where we want to compare errors and we want to compare this and that, you compare errors by, okay, can the players in the 80s and the 90s play a wide open brand of basketball? They've done that. I don't understand where people are getting the argument that the game is more wide open. Anybody ever paid attention to the Lakers and the Celtics and they was Showtime Lakers with Magic? They was running and gunning way back in the 80s, man. This style of basketball ain't new, but we when it comes to sports, we live in a now. We live in a now, and we don't even acknowledge the past. So we're all caught up in what these dudes are doing today. Remember, we've totally taken defense away from basketball. Totally taking defense away. You can't touch them. If you're a good enough flopper, you'll get a call every single time. They go to the booth to review a common foul as a flagrant. They go to the replay booth. They stop the game to go and review a regular foul as a flagrant. Just like the NFL. I can't hit you going across the middle as a defender, but if I'm a ball carrier, I can go across the middle and lower my helmet and lay you out. I won't get called for the helmet, but the defender will get called for the helmet, and all he trying to do is go make a tackle. So you want me to believe that between some of the most popular sports that we have, that it is better when you've taken one of the foundations of the game away. You're taking defense out of football. You're taking defense out of basketball. I don't care what anybody say. There's not one single all-time great defender. Well, I'll change that. There's a couple, right? But there's over 1,000 players in the league. Or 800, 700, whatever. 32 teams, 11 players. I'm going to say 700, 800 players. Somewhere around there. In the whole league. I can name on one hand the great defenders in the league. Right? Well, okay, let me not exaggerate it as much. I give two hands. The great defenders in the league out of all those players. Back in my day, growing up watching basketball, every single team had at least two guys that'll lock you up. And from a team defensive standpoint, it's not even close when you want to talk about team defense. I don't care about the game. People saying the game being wide open. We got 7-footer shooters. That doesn't even matter to me. That doesn't even matter to me because they soft as cotton. All of them soft as cotton. Embiid, Jokic. After that, soft. They skinny as a rail. So how they gonna play defense on a guy like Shaq, Keem Olajuwon, Wilt, Kareem? How they gonna stop them? And you can say, well, it could go the other way, the same way around if they're playing offense on those dudes. The dudes ain't handling the ball like that. Wilt, Shaq, all of them, they can move on defense. They're not taking them off the hoop. They're not taking them to the hoop like that. They was athletes too. They ran the court too. They just, when it came down to their position, they understood their assignment. I'm down here to bang and protect the basket. Ain't no Dikembe Mutombo basket protectors in the league no more. You want to talk about dudes, driving to the basket and doing all this. Come on, man. There's zero basket protectors like that in the league now. When Mutombo was playing, he was just the best. But you wasn't driving the ball to the hoop like that against Alonzo Mourning, Shaq, Akeem Olajuwon. I just named 3 Hall of Famers. Dikembe Mutombo, I don't think he's in. He may be, but because it's just the Basketball Hall of Fame. It ain't the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. So they also go with your, college accomplishments as well. But, man, I ain't trying to hear none of this. Then I got to sit here and watch an all-star game where these dudes, okay, Tatum scored 55 points. Against what? The Resistance. They weren't playing basketball, dude. They were just passing the ball to people, and then they were standing around watching them. Man, I haven't watched an NBA All-Star game in a long time, just for that reason. Same way I kind of stopped watching the Pro Bowl, just for that same reason. So, yeah, he set a record for most points scored in an All-Star game. Whoop-de-doo. Go back and watch the tape. They're not playing defense. You got 200 points almost scored between both teams. You got the NBA commissioner saying, "Oh, it's okay if a player want to take a It's okay if a player wants to sit out a game and take a rest." Okay. If that's what you think of your league, well, you want fans to pay top dollar for these tickets and then show up at a game and the player that they came to watch ain't playing. So should you be lowering your ticket prices, or every game that player sit out, he don't get paid? Which one you want to do? because people gonna stop going. People gonna stop going to these games where these superstar players just, I don't feel like playing tonight. That's why ain't nobody in this era. I'm even taking serious when you want to talk about conversation of GOATs or who's better than who from the 80s or the 90s. These dudes can't even play every night. And they got the best technology. They got some of the best, nutrition that we've seen. Back in the 80s and the 90s, they have none of this stuff at their disposal. And dudes was playing 82 games for 10, 15 years straight if they wasn't injured. Because then they actually cared. The fans are paying for to come see me play. If I'm not hurt, I'm playing. That was the mentality of all of them. Not some, all of them. They wanted to compete every night. If they ain't on the court, their team don't have the best chance to win. That is mentality, and that is why these dudes today ain't nothing but a bunch of babies and a bunch of prima donnas. I call them out, every single one of them. The league is where it's at because of those guys, and now they come along and they just powder puff the league. I don't know, man. Like, I can, if y'all listen to this show long enough, you've heard me rant on and on and on about the mind state of these players. That's why I don't care what anybody say. I don't care what your argument is. When it comes to competing, this generation ain't built like that. These generation of players are not built like that because they've already got the bag before they prove anything. So, Adam Silver, if that's what you want your league to be, good luck. Good luck. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on the line we have Rat Pack Sports Show NBA Insider on. We're going to continue this conversation to talk some NBA and what he thinks of, some trades and All-Star Weekend. There was a lot of good things in the All-Star Weekend outside of the game, but we have him now with us, Mr. Nicholas Lane. What's going on, brother?
Good evening. Over 6 inches of snow in my area, and didn't really leave the house today. So I'm glad to be on. And man, yeah, I heard a good portion of the first topic here about the NBA All-Star Game, and most of it I agree. Like it's just there's obviously no defense. They just shoot threes from as far as possible. People can just walk down the lane and get a layup in the All-Star Game. I mean, it is what it is. I think at this point, it's still better than watching flag football. Derek, you got to admit that.
I don't know, man. Listen, I've played flag football for 20 plus years, so I kind of have a competitive, a love for the game of flag football. But, what do you do with the NFL? Do you just not have a game at all? Or, because watching the actual Pro Bowl game, again, the NFL is a contact sport. You can't play it without contact. So I understand why the NFL made their changes, but you can play tough basketball without, killing each other. That is possible. It's been done 1,000 times over. So, there's no need to play that type of defense in any type of basketball game. I don't care if it's an all-star game or not. You would agree with me where, the eras we grew up watching, when the all-star game happened, it was it was also about pride. You know, these players, they were competitive. So they were happy and thankful that they were selected to be in the All-Star game. Now, I want to win because this about bragging rights. So we're gonna see the best of the best.
I still think it matters. So I think both leagues, the NFL and the NBA, it still matters if you get selected to the All-Star game. It is a testament of you being able to play enough games, put up enough good stats, and be on a good enough team. And I do think getting to the All-Star game, it does matter, and it is a big deal. And it actually, I think for certain guys, let's say the John Stocktons and the Karl Malones, like they obviously are in the Hall of Fame and they're considered the great players because they played so long, but then for the Hall of Fame voting, their number of All-Star selections do matter. And as much as Dwight Howard has been kind of a head case throughout his career, he is, a 9-10-time All-Star? I mean, that does matter over the longevity of your career.
Yeah.
So I think getting to it all matters in the conversations of who was great during their eras, who was a top 50 player compared to a top 70 player. I think that all kind of does matter. The game, it doesn't really matter anymore. It is more of a showcase of their talents and a showcase of just them being able to play in it. It has shown over time that super teams can form through friendships in the All-Star game and guys wanting to kind of play with each other. We obviously saw that LeBron was picking Kyrie Irving when even Derek and I wouldn't pick Kyrie Irving to be on our All-Star team. So there is, I think, certain things that are still good about it. I mean, the Post Malone concert, dear Lord, that guy should never perform ever again.
Oh, he did a concert?
Yeah, he did like 2 songs, and it was miserable. It was before the game. It was before tip-off.
Yeah.
It was bad. But I think camaraderie for the players in the league, they all come together. You see them in a good light because, Draymond is interviewing John Morant when the Grizzlies and the Warriors, they kind of don't like each other. But at least they have the one camaraderie of, where are the best in the world. And they're right. They are. I was surprised that James Harden didn't play. And, they put in good replacements for Zion and Durant. I don't think Zion should have been a starter, not even close, this year. I thought, obviously they put Lowry in his place, but, Lowry Markkanen has been one of the most underrated players in the league. He's been absolutely terrific for a Jazz team that should have been tanking, but they're close to 500. It's really impressive, I think, what Lowry Markkanen's done. And a lot of this All-Star game, and the good thing about TNT is, they do talk about each individual player when they score or when they do something because they deserved that.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys, it's an honor to be selected, but after that, that's it. Like, you don't see none of the major superstars competing in none of the events. The 3-point contest, the dunk contest. I mean, all credit to McClung. I've been watching this dude dunk the ball since he was in high school. That's great. What does that say about your league when you get a dude that just came in from the
G League?
The G League. I'm about to say the old name that used to be the NDBL or whatever. The G League, and wins your dunk contest. I mean, back in the days that would have never happened. That would
think about it. When Zach LaVine was in the dunk contest, he was a rookie.
Yep.
He won it.
Yep.
Oladipo was in the Magic uniform in the finals versus Zach LaVine.
Yep.
Aaron Gordon versus Zach LaVine. Aaron Gordon was only a couple years in the league. So it does give an opportunity for some of these young players, if they want to be in it, to have people know who they are. Because, when Zach LaVine won the dunk contest, a lot of people probably didn't know him very well. And then all of a sudden he became a scorer, and now he is an all-star. So, I mean, it does – when you get the right players, I mean, Jericho Sims, like, come on.
We don't know none of these dudes.
It shouldn't have been that way. But Trey Murphy, he plays a lot of minutes for the Pelicans as a rookie, and he's actually not a bad player, so to speak. But a guy like McClung, I mean, you got to get a guy like him in the dunk contest, because you can't have back-to-back years like you had last year, like that absolute disaster of a year last year in the dunk contest. So to have McClung get people excited to see 50 dunks is a great thing for the league. I mean, they need it. I mean, it shouldn't come from Matt McClung. I know that's your point, but it should come from a John Morant, or you should have Zion in the dunk contest. I understand that. But also the same year that LaVine won the first time, the Greek Freak, Adetokounmpo was in the dunk contest, but he was only in his third season, and he still wasn't as fully known until maybe 2 years later, and then all of a sudden he became that guy. But I would say Dwight Howard was only 4 years in the league when he went Superman and went all crazy. I mean, there's things that you have to appreciate maybe for these players. I didn't like all the selections they put in, but at least the 3-point contest, you got guys like Halliburton, who was an all-star, and of course Lillard, who won it, who's obviously going to be an all-star every year unless he's hurt. At least the 3-point contest is maybe a little different. Julius Randle is an all-star, even though he shouldn't have been in the contest at all. But I think for the dunk contest, McClung gave you excitement that, if he came back next year, you want to see him do more. Kind of like how Nate Robinson gave a lot of excitement during his years.
Yeah, and I understand your point. Like you say, you have to put the right guys in, not just let anybody in. And but I think maybe you, I know definitely William, we've been saying for some years that maybe to spice this dunk contest up, bring in some of these street dunkers, and let them go at it. I mean, if you ain't gonna raise the seats with the players that you currently have in the league, then let's have a competition. Bring in some street dunkers, the best street dunkers in the world, and then and team them up against your best 3 or 4 dunkers in the NBA. Well, do something like that. I'm pretty sure these guys are coming in and do it for free. I mean,
for the notoriety.
For the notoriety, they'll come in and they'll do that dunk contest for little or nothing, just to say, you know what, we beat the NBA best dunkers. Because I mean, you don't think they want to do that? I'm pretty sure they do.
Vince Carter, when he changed everything in the dunk contest in 2000. That was only his 3rd season. Tracy McGrady, who was in that dunk contest as well.
Yeah.
Only his 3rd season in the league. So, Jason Richardson, he won back-to-back dunk contests, and he still has a dunk that nobody else has done, that he got a 50. In the last dunk of the 2003 dunk contest versus Desmond Mason, I watched it recently, and his last dunk is still one that nobody else has ever done.
Was that the reverse windmill? I think it was.
It was like it was so, and then he like finished it off as the reverse part. Yeah, like 2-hand reverse. It was, he went between the legs the opposite direction and then dunked it behind, behind his back. So it's kind of a confusing dunk. I don't know how many, maybe a Zach LaVine could probably do it, but I don't know who else really can. I mean, it's like you think that you've seen all the dunks, right, throughout the years, like all the LaVine dunks, the crazy Eric Gordon dunks that are just still amazing to watch, and throughout time. But then you see a Mac McClung. He did a double hezzy pump behind the back. That deserved a 50 right away. I mean, no one's ever done it. and then you see that he jumps over two dudes, hits it off the glass, and then reverses it. Dwight Howard hit one off of one hand and then dunked it with the other, and that got a 50 because it should have been. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But we never saw Nate Robinson do what McClung did, and I think that's all really impressive. And McClung has played for the Lakers before. It's not like he was just signed from the G League just for this dunk contest. So he has played some games for the Lakers in the past years before. But I think what McClung did was very impressive, and I hope he gets an opportunity next season.
Yeah, even if he, I know he's on a 2-way contract with the 76ers, and there's been some guys in the past that has come out of the G League and established themselves in the league as a rotational player, but that's kind of hard to do. But even if he is not a part of anybody's roster, I believe he should be still brought back to defend his title as a slam dunk champion. Now, it's only the right thing to do after what he did this year. You don't think this guy has more in his bag that he can pull off? I think so.
Absolutely, Daddy.
You know what I'm saying? He's young. He's what? Like 3 years out of college, 2-3 years out of college.
Yeah, right.
And you now with today's training and stuff, man, you got 40-year-olds still jumping 40 inches off the ground. So it's just about how you keep yourself in shape and keep them bunnies going. But I like what McClung did. When I heard that he was going to be in it, I kind of felt like he was going to win it anyway. Because I watched this guy, do these type of dunks on people in high school. So anybody that followed him from his high school days, they knew what they was going to get. I don't think any of them was disappointed. But a lot of those NBA players probably was shocked. Some of them probably didn't even know who he was.
Derek, I think you need to hold on to your chair because I watched something during like a Sirius XM like NBA podcast type thing, and it was with Sam Mitchell and Dominique Wilkins with the host.
Yeah,
and the host said, and hold on to your seat, Derek. The host said that J.J. Redick recently said that Steph Curry played in a more physical era than Larry Bird.
J.J. Redick should not be allowed to talk basketball anymore.
I should be on
on, man.
And be able to talk basketball after that type of statement. It's unbelievable.
Come on, man.
Dominique Wilkins, of course, had a response where he just roasted J.J. Redick in response, which he should have, because obviously Dominique played during the whole Bird, the whole Larry, most of the Larry Bird era.
Yes,
and it's unfathomable to even think about that, like hand checking, putting the elbow in the dude's back, being able to decide where he goes. Obviously today it's a lot different. I was blown away. I was absolutely just blown away. I couldn't believe that JJ Redick could even say
somebody pay him. I mean, did somebody pay him to say that? Because he cannot believe that. Man, listen. See, this is why I say, just because you played in the game and now you got some podcast and some type of voice, man, I don't understand how these former players could get on TV or in a podcast and say some of the stuff that they say. It's like, well, how can you say that? How can you believe that? And people will eat it up because, it's J.J. Redick. He played in the game. Oh, Steph Curry is my favorite player anyway. Oh, I believe you. I don't know, man.
And a lot of these people who say Steph Curry is my favorite player, or Steph Curry is one of the best players of all time, they never obviously saw Bird or Magic play or Dominique play, and all these, Jordan, of course, and so it's just concerning that these former eras are getting forgotten faster and faster, I believe, is kind of where I was going with that. It seems to me that that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I believe. If you want to, okay. So I watch a lot of NHL hockey, right? And the NHL, they're always giving respect to past players. They're always educating the fan base on where the game has come from, the history of the sport, and they do that all the time. With these type of comments saying you like, for one, it's a jab at the game, the physicality of the game back then. But again, it's another jab at Larry Bird. Why'd you have to use Bird as an example? Because a lot of people regard Larry Bird as one of the best shooters to ever play the game of basketball. You would never take that away from Larry Bird. I've watched Larry Bird play live. I watched Larry Bird career. I watched Larry Bird at his best. I watched this man score 30 points on his left hand and said he was going to do it. So, and there was nothing wrong with his right hand. He just decided to play left-handed. But that guy ain't the best shooter ever. This dude hit shots like Curry with people in his face in a more physical brand of basketball. Yeah, okay, so they let you hand check. So what? It shouldn't be a revolving door playing basketball. You should have some resistance at getting to the basket. That's the purpose of defense. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Even today, I coach and I tell my players, play tough. Don't give them an inch to breathe. Get in their face. We protect the basket. If they call a foul, they gonna call it anyway. So you might as well hit them. Not hit them like punch them, hit them, but put a body on them. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
And
I get it.
Most of my teams, when people watch us play, they always give us a lot of good feedback on how we play team defense and how physical we play, but we keep it clean. We don't get technicals and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But we play. If we bigger than you, we gonna punish you. That's just the way it is. But come on, JJ Redick, man, come on, bro.
It was definitely something to follow up from your monologue, saying like, hey, it's getting worse than you would want to believe, and obviously JJ Redick doesn't help things.
And I'm glad Dominique Wilkins roasted him, but man, you shouldn't even be allowed to have a microphone in your hand to say anything like that. Anything like that.
Hey, hey, ESPN, I'll be on Get Up, or I'll be on
for real, man. Hey, y'all,
Stephen A. Smith, I'll be on that.
Call Nicky Buckets, let him get a chance on there. Listen, people think I be joking. I listen to a lot of sports talk radio from on the basketball and the football side. Man, I promise you, my man Nicky Buckets and Sean Naylor could out football talk a lot of these people. We have conversations every week, and our conversations be light years ahead of, the shouting matches and stuff that you hear on TV. Maybe it's orchestrated and they want it to be that way, but it comes off as, come on, man. I mean, that segment they used to have on NFL, NFL with, come on, man. That's the biggest come on, man, that you could possibly give to JJ Redick. Like, you should be barred from talking basketball, bro. I cannot believe that he would say something like that. Now, JJ Redick, you was a great shooter, but you was not a defender. I mean, that was always one of your, worst attributes was playing defense. But come on, man. Like, I know you love to play a soft brand of basketball because that's how you gonna get your shots off. But Larry Bird, you need to go watch some film, buddy. You need to go to YouTube like people like myself and Nicky Buckets do. Go to YouTube, watch Larry Bird, and see what he did in a more physical NBA. I mean, if you can prove to me that Curry can do that same thing, yeah, he can hit a wide open shot. We all know that. He's a great shooter. I don't doubt that Steph Curry could play back then and still not be a very good shooter. But to say that he would dominate the same way or better because today's NBA was more physical than back then, are you kidding me? He wouldn't make it to the basket.
Yeah.
He wouldn't make it to the basket.
There's a guy named Bill Laimbeer that would clothesline him first.
Yeah, Bill Laimbeer, John Sally. I mean, you run into them dudes. The New York Knicks, run into them. Miami Heat, run into them. Run into...
Yeah, there's a guy named Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
That's...
Seattle Supersonics, Utah Jazz. I mean, these was physical teams. Okay, in Larry Bird prime, you had the Philadelphia 76ers. Go to the basket on them. Cleveland Cavaliers with Larry Nance and Brad Daugherty. Go to the basket on them. You notice how I'm naming like a whole bunch of teams, and I'm missing a whole bunch of other people.
And look at the Celtics results. They have 4 titles in 5 years.
We didn't even talk about the Celtics
in that time.
Mikhail,
80 to 86 is between them and the Lakers, and just going back and forth winning every year.
Yeah, I mean, okay, JJ. Okay. I tell you what, JJ. I know you're not gonna listen to this, but I'm just talking. Invite my man Nicholas Lane on the air. Y'all talk basketball. Let's do that. And when you get embarrassed by a nobody, put the mic down. Like I tell you, these ex-professionals, man. The way some of these dudes on TV be talking, man, you don't need to be on TV. And we talk about the same way with some of these podcasts or same way with some of these radio hosts. Colin Cowturd. I can't stand that dude. Terrible. Trash. But somebody say, you know what, we'll pay you 7 figures a year to sound stupid.
Well, speaking of a podcast segment and about the trade deadline, and I know that everybody else talked about it where we have been able to schedule-wise, but Kevin Durant getting traded to the Phoenix Suns is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And what the Suns gave up was a pretty big deal. And when you talk about defense,
you lost defense.
Today's league, and you talk about defense in today's league, and you see the one player that the Suns gave up.
Bridges.
Who's that one player that the Suns gave up? Bridges.
Yep.
Mikal Bridges was far and away, not even close in second. He was their best defender they had. And now, and Cam Johnson was okay. Jay Crowder, to me, overrated. He has not been a good perimeter defender for a number of years. Yeah, he gets to the finals because you know what? He played with Giannis. He played with Jimmy Butler during the bubble season. Don't give me Jay Crowder's this big winner thing.
No, I think Jay Crowder to me was just more like a locker room guy, you know, that was good for the team. I mean, his impact as far as, you know, what he did on the court has diminished over.
He's an all-bark.
Yeah.
He's an all-bark type of defender, in
yeah.
my opinion. He's like a Matt Barnes, right? Like a Matt Barnes was an all-bark defender type guy.
Yeah.
But so when the Suns gave up Mikal Bridges and all those picks and all those swaps they did, of course.
I think they gave up too much.
They released too much, but they had to give up Crowder because Crowder wasn't obviously doing anything. And the Nets wanted one more pretty good young piece, and Cam Johnson, I believe, is that pretty good young piece there. So maybe you could have shaved off a pick or a swap or something, I think is where you had to shave off in that trade in order to say that you gave up just the right amount compared to overpaying. And that's where I felt that, you know, the Nets got a pretty big advantage with that. But now we're looking at, 39-year-old Chris Paul. We're looking at Durant coming off of meniscus, a more of a minor knee injury. DeAndre Ayton, who, you know, some nights he shows up as a defender, and some nights you don't even know he's freaking playing on the floor.
Yeah.
It is so hard to get that guy engaged. That's a really weird thing to me. Like, he was engaged during the finals and the Western Conference Finals when they got to the finals 2 seasons ago. But, I mean, they got roasted by, 50 to the Mavs in Game 7 of the second round? I mean, the whole team gave up. And so you're going to add Kevin Durant and think that now they're going to win the title?
No.
They have a chance. They have a chance.
They got a chance, but I mean,
they're not going to. It's not realistic. Their backups, you know, Damian Lee and Landry Shamet, you know, Bismack Biyombo, you know, they gave up a decent backup in Dario Saric, and he went to OKC when OKC shipped Darius Bazley into Phoenix. And I'm a Thunder fan, and I think Bazley is not very good. So if you're going to say, hey, we got this defender in Darius Bazley, sorry, Earth to the Phoenix Suns, it's like Mikal Bridges was like 5 times better than Darius Bazley is. And Bazley and Bridges are around the same height, but Bridges can shoot, Bazley can't. To me, Bazley can play, you know, 5 to 10 minute stretches and do probably pretty decent only on the defensive end. He gives you nothing on offense, which sure you have 4 really good offensive players, but the depth that Phoenix has now is not very good. And actually, my Western Conference favorite the whole season, and I said this, is Denver, and they actually got like a tiny bit better. You know, Thomas Bryant as an actual backup center, getting him from the Lakers for a couple second-round picks. Excellent deal for the Denver Nuggets. I think getting as much as I like Bones Highland, and I thought Bones Highland would have a bigger role coming off the bench for Denver. Now he's going to be on the Clippers, and the talking heads loved it, but I don't see him playing many minutes. The Clippers just signed Russell Westbrook, and what position does Bones Highland play? Point guard. What position does Russell Westbrook play? Point guard. The Clippers just traded Reggie Jackson, and they waived. They traded John Wall, and he got waived. 2 point guards. You see where I'm going here. So Bones Highland might get 15 minutes every night at most compared to not playing on the Nuggets. That's the difference. But all the talking heads love Bones Highland and love his offensive game. Now, I liked his offensive game for Denver, but he's not engaged. He's not passing to the right dudes. The teammates weren't really liking him. Mike Malone wasn't liking him because they want to run the offense through Jokic, as they should. He's the best player in the NBA. So, yeah, you should run the offense through your best player. Not just but the best player in the league. Because I don't care what talking head would tell me. Jokic would absolutely roast DeAndre Ayton every night in a 7-game series. Not even close. Don't even think about how DeAndre Ayton can play this lockdown defense on Jokic because it doesn't exist. I just, to me, I think the Suns are still going to be really good once everyone's back, but I just don't even see them getting to the Western Conference Finals, actually.
Yeah, I seen this trade, and for the record, I think I said it to y'all in the Rat Pack Sports Show group also. I thought the Suns lost more than what they got back. I mean, Durant is a great player, but from an offensive scoring standpoint, okay. But what you lost on the defensive end and the guy in Bridges, I think is going to hurt them more in the long run. It may look good for now, but I don't, does it make them the favorite? No, I still think the Nuggets are the best team in the West. And not even, with the addition of Westbrook going to the Clippers, I'll put the Clippers ahead of the Suns. And you still...
No, not at all. I think the Clippers are like the next step down from the Suns. I'll say that.
Well, it depends. It depends on what you get out of Westbrook. If Westbrook could go there and be a shade of what he was in OKC, and what he did, with the Washington Wizards before being traded to
the
Lakers, I think they could be better than the Suns. But that's, obviously that's a wait and see type of deal. Right out the bat, yeah, you would say the Suns, had the advantage. You still got a really good Memphis team that's, they're not going to be a pushover either.
I think, if Memphis were to have to play the Suns in the 7-game series, say in round 2, I believe that Dylan Brooks, as hurtful as he can be on the offensive end.
Defensively, he can get in his head.
And he has a horrible field goal percentage, but the dude is like close to a first-team all defense.
Yeah.
As much as he is a negative on the offensive end, because it's unbelievable how many shots he takes a game, but on the defensive end, and a not 100% Kevin Durant, I think that could be a nightmare of a series for the Suns. Memphis has good enough people up front.
They got enough size too, around the basket. They're bigs.
I think if John Morant is like your defensive liability, which he is, you've got one of the best two-way guards in the league in Desmond Bain as his running mate.
Yeah.
So you put Desmond Bain on Devin Booker, and I guarantee you in a playoff series, a little bit more physical, Devin Booker could be, 40% less, 30% less, because Desmond Bain is really good. He can be very good on the defensive end. His body is bigger than Booker, and he can be, I think, just as quick if Booker wants to take him in the post. So I think Memphis would not be a good matchup for the Suns at all. I think Dallas would be a great matchup for the Suns, but not Memphis.
Yeah, and again, goes back to these so-called sports personalities on TV. I saw something after all this trade deadline stuff went down, and I forget who it was. It could have been Perkins or somebody else, but they had the Lakers as the new favorite in the Western Conference.
It's laughable.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, what are you seeing in a team that just, what did they get? What did they get at the trade deadline that made them better than 7 other teams that they're currently are sitting behind?
To me, with the Lakers, they're already too far behind. There's too many teams above them that are still reasonable. I mean, Utah's still pretty good. You got OKC playing hard every night. And you got Portland that, they traded Josh Hart, but they didn't make moves to fire sale the team. It's not like they traded Nurkic away. It's not like they got Matisse Thybulle. And Matisse Thybulle, he's not Josh Hart. Josh Hart's probably better as a defender, but Matisse Thybulle is a really good defender in his own right. And Portland's actually going to play a minute. He plays hard every night too. The reason why he didn't get minutes on the Sixers is he's not really a really good offensive player at all. He's pretty bad on the offensive end, but he's the opposite of a Dylan Brooks. He doesn't shoot barely ever, and he doesn't really go out. He goes out and scores 2 to 4 points a game. He doesn't do much, but as a on-ball defender, Matisse Thybulle is just about as good as almost anybody else at his position in the league. So all the players that the Lakers got besides Jared Vanderbilt, none of them are defenders. They're all shooters. They're all guys that need the ball in their hand, especially D'Angelo Russell.
Yep.
And I don't think the Lakers, they got better name-wise. They got better a little bit depth-wise. But defensively, they got rid of Beverly. And he's like your only quote-unquote on-ball defender you have, where Anthony Davis is a great help defender. He's not a great rim protector. He's a good rim protector. I think Nick Claxton on Brooklyn is a better rim protector than an Anthony Davis right now. But I think Anthony Davis is a help defender, as a guy that, helps alter shots around the paint. He's excellent. But he's not engaged. He's not happy in L.A. We talked about this last time I was on when LeBron broke Kareem's record. Anthony Davis is not happy at the Lakers. He's not happy where they're going. He's not happy where the record is. He's not happy that he might miss the playoffs again. And to be honest with you, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why this Lakers team is just going to be derailed this season, is because they need Anthony Davis more than anything. And, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell is not going to move the needle when Anthony Davis is far and away so much better than all three of them combined. So when that one guy is so unhappy, you're not going anywhere. you might have thought you got rid of the problem like Brian Windhorst thinks or Dave McMenamin thinks, but in Russell Westbrook, and he's not the problem. The culture, there's something going on that's obviously the problem in LA and with the Lakers. And so I don't see them even they might make the play-in if they go on a big winning streak. But after that, I mean, they got, 23 or so games left. I think it's going to go downhill pretty quickly for the Lakers. And we've been talking about this for a while, but it's been this way.
Yeah, and we've been the only ones talking about this for a while because everybody else just kind of jumps on the bandwagon whenever they think something positive is happening. And I mean, we called this at the beginning of the season. We didn't think they were strong enough to do anything in the Western Conference. They was 10+ games below 500 last season. So, I mean, they didn't really improve that much in the offseason. What did they do? Nothing. So how are they going to be better? Like, this is the delusional of the media when you talk about how they cover teams.
And now they're going to be potentially stuck having to re-sign D'Angelo Russell for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they going to put themselves in another Westbrook situation again? Like, this team is over and over and over again. They just do it to themselves.
Yeah, and
would you give, like for example, would you give D'Angelo Russell 4 years at $110 million? No, I wouldn't either.
They're going to be forced to.
4 years, like 75 or 80 million. If I were the Lakers, I'd probably give them that. But you're talking almost half the salary of what Westbrook was making for his last year on his Supermax deal that he signed, way back in his OKC days. So I don't know, man. Like I just think that the Lakers would be a team to give D'Angelo Russell even $120 million. They're just that team.
Yeah, they're going to be forced to because they made this trade to get him. Now, they again, D'Angelo Russell had a first stint with the Lakers, and they traded him away because it didn't work out. The reason why it didn't work out because he wasn't that. He's a guy that needs the ball in his hand. He cannot play off-ball scorer. He's a guy that needs the ball in his hands, make plays happen off the dribble. He's the type of player that usually will help somebody else break open because he's going to garner attention with the ball in his hand so somebody else could get open. That's what he did. That's what he did in Minnesota. And Minnesota, a little disappointed on the season. Obviously, you already have a guy at his same position that you're going to build that franchise around, and you don't need D'Angelo Russell. So,
yeah, and they got Mike Conley, which is a downgrade with D'Angelo Russell, but you get all that experience, plus he's already played with Gobert for a while. So I think it might actually be better for Minnesota
the leadership
to have a Mike Conley over a D'Angelo Russell because Mike Conley is also not a shoot-first guy anymore when you have a potential superstar in Anthony Edwards that is your best player on that team. He's better than Towns. So to me, the Timberwolves got slightly better, not by much, but I think slightly better in that deal. For the Lakers, it's hard to. They got better, but they didn't get better. Is how I would put it.
Yeah, and he's gonna go back to that same player that he was in his first stint because the ball is gonna be in the hands of guess who? I mean, you got him, and then Anthony Davis is the second option. So now you just want Russell to just be a spot up guy. It's not gonna work for him, man.
Like Russell's not this elite point guard to put the ball in your hands in catch and shoot positions. He's not a driving kick guy. And that's what's weird to me about it too, is that when you're the one that needs to facilitate the ball to a guy like a LeBron, where he becomes a ball stopper until he drives the lane, and then maybe he will kick it out, or he will obviously go to score. Where Anthony Davis is not really much of a passer himself either. So to me, what floor spacing did you get? Like Malik Beasley is a floor spacer. He's a good shooter, but that's what he is. He's a shooter. He's not a ball handler. He's not a guy to take anybody off the dribble. He's a catch and shoot guy. So the fit just didn't make the Lakers better. I don't know. That was a weird one to me. I mean, we got the Warriors, who obviously are the defending champs, and everyone wants to say when the Warriors are healthy, no one can beat them. Well, their depth has been terrible this year, and that's why they've been so bad on the road, because when these guys are sitting back-to-backs, like a Draymond or a Clay or even a Steph, Wiggins has sat a lot of games this year, their depth has been brutally bad, and one of them is biggest, top 5 bust of all time, James Wiseman, got traded to the Detroit Pistons, where they have probably 10 centers on their roster. It's ridiculous what they're doing there. But for Golden State to get Gary Payton when apparently he has an injury, when Portland didn't tell Golden State the full extent of his physical, and he failed the physical, but then the trade still just went through. I mean, stay tuned. I think the league is going to find the Blazers for negotiating in bad faith, because the Warriors did complain a lot about what the Blazers did on Gary Payton II. And, Gary Payton's going to be out for a couple of months. He's not going to play for the Warriors until maybe the playoffs. I think Kuminga has had a bad year. Moses Moody's had a bad year. This bench and this depth in the Warriors kind of frightens me. They don't have an Otto Porter. Kevon Looney is more, he's more of a starter. I don't see this being the Warriors' year. I don't see them really doing a lot this year. Steph's been banged up twice. Draymond is, I guess, Draymond. And Clay's been really hot and cold. He's been really hot some nights. I've been cold on other nights. I think the Warriors, they need to get off some luxury tax, but then they got Gary Payton's contract. I don't really like what the Warriors did here.
Nah, I think, it kind of looked like a, desperation move, due to the fact that they've been, struggling this season and things are not, hitting on all cylinders like it was last season, But hey, sometimes it's that way. I mean, when it's your year, it's your year, and then you kind of got things kind of got to be a little bit perfect. When you win titles, you can't go through the ups and downs. You can't have injuries. Everybody got to be on their A game for the whole season. Your bench got to produce. And this season, it just hasn't been that. And like you said, I don't expect. Can they hit a switch? Yeah, they have the players to do it, but it's kind of, the West is pretty strong. So I don't think that's possible to do once you get into the playoffs. These other teams are just, too good. And, you can lose. You can lose to those teams. That's just, at the end of the day, you're not the best team in the West, and you're not the where are they in the West? They're, let's see, Western Conference standings. All right, so in the Western Conference, you got okay, at least they are in the ninth spot, so they're in the top 10, but they're not far from, being out. You got OKC, Utah Jazz, Portland, and then there's the Lakers. I don't know, man. I mean, Golden State can find themselves on the outside looking in if they don't get it together. They may not even get into the playoffs.
They need their guys healthy. I mean, everything is ran through Steph. Everything when it comes to them being a cohesive offensive unit, Curry needs to be healthy. It's pure and simple. If he's not healthy, they are a mess. And that's just, I think that's just what it is. I mean, the talent around the league, night in and night out, as you see with their road record, is really hard for them to overcome if they don't have their best offensive option every night playing for them. And that's been a big problem for them because Jordan Poole is good, but he's not ready. He's not there yet. Like he's a Clarkson that's better than Clarkson. I mean, but he plays big minutes, but I would say he's not ready to take on that kind of a shoulder of the load yet. But I think with Curry and with Clay and Draymond and Wiggins, Poole becomes awesome because he just comes out and dominates second unit because he is a really good player. But when you put him as the main guy because a bunch of guys are out, you're going to lose by 15 every night. That's just what it is how I see it with Jordan Poole. So to me, I just don't see the Warriors having a lot in the tank unless they completely flip the switch and start dominating everybody. Otherwise, I just don't see this being a good year for the Warriors. So to me, I think the winners of the trade deadline, the Lakers got better. Minnesota got slightly better. Warriors, Wiseman's totally terrible. And I wouldn't be surprised, after Marvin Bagley's guaranteed contract, because the Pistons are just completely on another planet for some reason. I don't know what they're doing, but Marvin Bagley might not be in the league, or he will be an afterthought on the end of benches. And I think if Wiseman doesn't get his IQ up and is trying to only rely on his talent, Wiseman won't be far behind. He is going to get a good chance to have minutes and have playing time and a guaranteed role. I mean, he's going to have all that in Detroit, but he needs to prove that he can actually play basketball instead of a dude that just has freakish talent that doesn't know where he needs to be on the floor. And that's where, if he can't do that in Detroit, then Derek, where can he do it?
It's gonna be hard to do it anywhere. I mean, that's the one spot where if he has anything, he's gonna have the opportunity to show, what he can do. It's kind of like
this is it's kind of like Markelle Fultz when he got traded to Orlando.
Yeah.
I praise how that was a great move and still has been a great move. But, when Orlando got Fultz, his confidence was in the tubes, just like a Ben Simmons is right now, of course. And all of a sudden, it takes the right situation, enough minutes, a guaranteed starting role, and coaching system to believe in them and give them patience. And with Detroit, with their culture, with how bad they've been, I think the jury's out on that. Orlando was different because they were patient with Fultz to let him work it out. And I guess we'll have to see on a developmental side of an organization where some teams are great at it and some teams are horrible about it. And this will be a great example to see if Detroit can develop guys, because they are, they're really bad, right? So they got Cade Cunningham, and they have Jaden Ivey, they have Killian Hayes, they have Isaiah Stewart. They did trade Sadiq Bey. So this is a good testament if Detroit can develop guys. And this should also show Cade Cunningham how his future is going to look like in Detroit. Because if they can't develop James Wiseman and be patient with James Wiseman, then they can't do it with anybody. So that's how I would see it. And I think that will be kind of an interesting thing to see, maybe even at the trade deadline time next year, where James Wiseman is compared to where he came into Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of, I'm not going to say the last chance for him, but it's probably the last opportunity, like real opportunity he's going to get. Everybody thought, it was such a great pick when he went to Golden State when they drafted him. And it hasn't worked out. He has been on the court. Has barely even played. So we don't know, man. I mean, this is for everything that we know when these type of situations happen with kids that come out with this very, very high ceiling. Normally it's injury related. They can't stay healthy. They get their chances, you see potential, and then, they can't stay healthy. But this here, while he had some injuries in his, rookie season, bro, that was 2.5 years ago, and he's not even been thought about as far as a rotational player or anything. So, you still running with Kevin Looney. He's supposed to have been the guy.
I look at it like this, right? Like we've talked about the worst teams in the league for a while. I mean, Houston is the worst team in the league. They're the worst organization when it comes to developing talent. They're a complete mess. Detroit's not far behind from them either. I think San Antonio is just tanking because they want to tank. They're obviously not a bad organization from what it looks like, at least from the outside. And I think San Antonio at least has Devin Vassell. They have Keldon Johnson. I mean, they have some talent.
Yeah.
But to me, Houston and Detroit, Houston's been the worst team in the league the last 3 seasons, and Detroit's not far behind them. The only player that I think has gotten better this season for Houston is Alperen Şengün. He's actually good, and it's surprising because Houston is just that bad. So, Jabari Smith Jr. has been a terrible pick so far. He's had a horrible rookie season. I was off. I thought that the Magic would have picked Jabari Smith Jr. at number 1. Thankfully, they picked Paolo Banchero for Magic fans. But I think Houston's in a lot of trouble. They just are as an organization. And I'm really hoping that Victor Wembanyama does not go to Houston. That would be, I think, disastrous for him because that organization is just an absolute mess. And I really hope that Houston does not get the number 1 pick because Wembanyama, I believe, deserves better. As you very well know, he is a generational talent that is unmatched, and I think it's unreal what he can do. And I can't wait to see him on an NBA floor. But another guy who I wanted to talk about with you is a player that is in high school right now. You know where I'm going here. That scouts are saying that he's going to be a lottery pick right now because he is the best perimeter defender in his class, and he is improving as a shooter with playmaking skills. Now, he still hasn't committed to where he's going to college yet. 2 of them were Ohio State, USC, then Oregon. Those are the 3 that he's narrowed his choices down. and it is the one and only Bronny James. Derek, do you know how tall Bronny James is?
He is 6'2.5". Maybe.
2.5.
I don't know. I think it's about 6'4".
How many players in the league as a superstar type talent that has lasted in the league, let's say in the last decade, not just overall, but look at maybe in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
How many players at 6'2", maybe 6'3", can you name that has been that good for that long?
Well, I only can name one, and that's Derrick Rose. But the injury stopped him. I haven't seen another player under 6'2", 6'3", that just dominating the league.
Well, I'll give you two. One, Stephen Curry is what?
Oh, yeah, he's 6'3". Yeah, he's 6'3". Yep, he's 6'3".
Okay. Number two, Damian Lillard.
Yeah, but he ain't them dudes. He's not those dudes.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with here. So, a lot of the tape that I'm seeing on Bronny James is that this dude is a havoc in the passing lanes, and I like players like that. I like players that give a lot of effort as a young kid on the defensive end for his position.
Yeah.
And I'll give Bronny a lot of credit. He is a terror on the perimeter defense. Maybe not on ball,
but off ball,
just
jumping passing
using
lanes.
His athletic ability, like a Russell Westbrook does in his OKC years. That's how I would see it. Now, obviously, Bronny James needs to grow maybe 2 more inches. And then
I don't know, man. I don't think.
And then maybe be like a 37% 3-point shooter. If he can do that, then he can be that multiple-time All-Star player. And if he gets drafted at 6'2", and he has to rely on getting in passing lanes and outworking guys on the perimeter, that's dicey, man. That's really dicey.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, Nicholas, you hitting on something that for a while I've been talking about with Bronny James. I mean, when you talk about the top players in the country, you talk about the players that are the top recruits. Bronny James is not one of those guys. I mean, obviously he is a highly recruited player, but is it because he's that good, or is it because, LeBron James is dad? I mean, he's like the 40th ranked player in the country the last time I checked. Maybe it went up, I don't know. But the last time I had this conversation with a group of dudes that really do follow, the recruiting classes and stuff like that, he was ranked around 40th or something like that in his class. Is the 40th ranked player in any recruiting class good enough to get an NIL deal for 7 figures from Nike? Not really. But he got it because, obviously his dad's name is LeBron James. Most of them dudes are already signed, and they done signed their letters of intent and committed to a school. Is he waiting to be the last one to announce so he can have that center stage to announce where he's going, or is he not getting the offers that he's looking for?
To me, he needs to grow. If he comes and really gets 6'2", I'm not interested. But if he gets to 6'4", I'll give him 6'4". If he can get to 6'4", he has a chance.
Yeah, I would give him 6'4".
If he's there at 6'2", he has to be so unbelievably good, but he also has to deal with a guy for the next 10, 12, 14 years in Victor Wembanyama, who will be in the league next year, a year ahead of Bronny, who's like 7'4", 7'6".
So,
I mean, and the strength of Bronny James's game outside of perimeter defense is driving to the basket. I don't care who you are. You're not going to go 6'2", even blow by Wembanyama, but his wingspan's like, 8 feet plus.
Yeah.
He can just go to the other side of the rim and still block your shot.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is Bronny, to be taken seriously as a prospect, he needs to grow at least 2 more inches and get bigger, right? Like, that's where he can be a serious prospect. Now people are going to say on the show, hey, you told us about LaMelo Ball in high school, and he was a short guy. Well, I'm sorry, but LaMelo Ball grew a lot before he got drafted.
Yeah.
So, height-wise. So that is a big difference when it comes to being scouted, when it comes to being a top lottery pick, that obviously I'm on record on this show saying that A, he was going to be a first rounder, B, he was going to be a lottery pick, and C, he was going to be a top 5 pick. But Bronny James, to me, I wouldn't be surprised if he would go to the lottery just because he's LeBron James' dad, of course, but the talent is far and away not there to be a lottery pick. So, to me, he grows 2 inches, gets a little bigger, then convince me, because he doesn't need to have the outside shot getting into the league. He doesn't need to have that in order to be a lottery pick. That's the slack he will get. But he needs to be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, have all that explosiveness and have all of that fiery part of his defensive side in order to be taken as a serious prospect. Otherwise, it's a dog and pony show at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously he has a lot of, highly ranked Power 5, schools looking at him. And it's going to be interesting to see. But is he a one-and-done type of player? I don't think so. Will he do it? Probably so. Will somebody take a chance on him? More than likely. But
yeah, absolutely. A team will take a chance.
Yeah.
Of course.
But at what cost? Because wherever he decides to go, first, he's going to have to go there and be a starter. That's off the rip. If he's not starting, it'll be a disservice to him to be talked into being a one and done. Because you're not going to the NBA to do anything going one and done, and you're not starting. That's just, and as a starter, you got to be one of those. You got to be that dude on the team. You got to be, 15, 20 points a night, that dude. You got to be the leader of that squad.
Absolutely, because I don't know about you, Derek, but do you know any top college players in the nation that are going to be so good in the NBA right now? Because I don't.
No.
And I follow the league so much because the 2 best players in the draft, one's in France,
yep,
and one's in the G League. The other guy's in the G League, and this is the reality that if Bronny James goes to college, he's going to have to absolutely dominate on whoever he goes to, Oregon, USC, or Ohio State, in order and grow and get bigger.
Yeah.
Those 3 things need to happen in order for Bronny James to be taken seriously. Otherwise, it's just a show.
I agree, man. And, a lot of people.
In the NBA, you get chewed up and spit out pretty fast.
Yep. And
if you can't do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people be like, man, how, I had this conversation a lot with people, and they're, all up in their arms about, he can develop and he can do this, and why you hating because he was able to get this NIL deal and all of that. Nobody's hating. Nobody's hating, on any of that. But at some point, you got to just be realistic about the situation, right? If I'm the 38th, 40th plus ranked player in the country, am I getting a call from Nike? It's a not guaranteed no. And with that being said, how many other guys are better than you? And now when you get into that top 10, though all those dudes are dogs. They dogs. And we watch a lot of, Bronny James highlights throughout the years because, again, he's LeBron James' son. But I've been more impressed watching other kids' highlights. I mean, he's doing some great things. He's doing some great stuff. I'm not saying he's not doing some really good stuff at the high school level. He is. But again, I'm in a group that follows the recruiting scene from the high school standpoint, from boys and girls, and we talk about the recruiting, and we talk about the top players in the country all the time. And how many times is Bronny James brought up in that conversation? Not much, not many times, because when we see the very best of the best players in this country, the ones that really honestly they can go step in from day one at the university of their choice and average 15, 20 points a game and be a difference, and then come out as a one and done right off the bat. Them the guys that's not being talked about, and all attention is being directed towards Bronny because he's LeBron James' son. But the realistic aspect of it, he's not one of the top players in the country. Yeah, he's a McDonald's All-American. Again, he's LeBron James' son. Like in his age of social media, it ain't like it was with Michael Jordan when his sons was playing college football. Even Scottie Pippen, he has a son that's in the league. And how much media attention did he get when he was playing high school and college? Not a whole lot. He fled under the radar. But he's now an NBA player. So, I mean, it's just about popularity. It's not really are you the best player? It's a popularity contest when it comes to that conversation. It's a popularity contest. And that's just the realistic aspect of it. Just not, I'm not going to fall for the okie doke that I have to believe that he's one of the top 10 guys when you can clearly go and look at his and that's him being LeBron James' son, and he's still top 40. So how good is he really measured up to those guys? That, so he's got a long way to go, man. I mean, he's good, but he's got a long way to go.
He definitely does.
To be anywhere near where his dad was when he was coming out of high school. He's not nowhere close to that. He's nowhere close to what LeBron James was doing coming out of high school. Obviously, LeBron James is what, 6'9", 6'8", something like that. It makes
6, 7,
it makes a big difference, But he was just, when you watch LeBron James play in high school, you knew he's the best player in the country, hands down. There's no debate. Don't even think about it. Now there was a guy when he was coming out that was really good. Nobody, and he was right there behind LeBron. Obviously, their careers, lives went in a couple different directions, but everybody knew watching LeBron, there's no college in his future. He's going straight to the league. We knew it watching it, and you can't see that with with Bronny James, but he's still a good player, and we'll see where he go. I'm interested to see where he's going, because I think he, out of all the players, he's kind of like the last, very popular, notable player left that still hasn't signed a commitment. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what he's waiting for. Maybe he's waiting for everybody else to sign so he can do his decision type of moment. To announce his decision. I believe he was going to end up at Ohio State, but let's see. I mean, that's his, home state. LeBron is from Akron, actually. So, it'd probably be pretty cool. LeBron is a huge Ohio State Buckeyes fan. So that'll be like the best, probably, the best, like a dream come true situation for LeBron, because he didn't get that chance to go to college. So,
I think he needs to go somewhere where the spotlight isn't going to be as on him as much. And I think that's either an Oregon or a USC, the two other schools that he's looking at.
Yeah.
I think if he goes to Ohio State, he's going to have the Trae Young type coverage when Trae Young was at Oklahoma, and I don't think that would be good for him. I think USC or Oregon would be better for him to go to compared to an Ohio State. As much of a good story as it is if he went to Ohio State, but I think for playing purposes, he needs to have the spotlight off of him a little bit. He's always going to have it on him no matter what, but just a little bit. I think that would be better for him.
Yeah, you could be right, because I mean, too much spotlight when you're not really, ready for it could hurt. So by going to a USC or a Oregon, those are not, they're good basketball schools, but compared to Ohio State, the media attention that just Ohio State alone gets, is definitely a big difference. So. Oregon, he kind of float under the radar and allow himself to develop. He'll still get the coverage, obviously. LeBron James' son, they're still going to follow him and cover him, but they're not going to go.
But I just don't think it will be as much pressure on him. And that's where I think that's what he needs. Because if he falters a few games in the season or any of the big matchups, and, let's say Ohio State doesn't have a great season, and all of a sudden you're looking at Bronny probably won't even be a lottery pick at that point. And so you want him to go to a place where he's going to put up good numbers, he's going to play a good amount of time, and he's going to develop. Because if he's not going to the G League, which apparently he should, because he would play against, either former NBA talent or guys that are coming up or guys that are on the end of the benches that are getting called down to the G League. He would play against a lot of these guys, and that would be great for him. Yeah. But if he's just going to go to college, then that's what he's going to do too. So I think outside of spending a lot of time that we have, I'm glad that we spent a lot of time on him. because he will be talked about a lot. Unless he just falls completely flat on his face, I don't think he's that bad. I don't think it's that bad of a situation for him, but he's going to need to prove a lot.
Yeah.
And if he can, I could get on board with it. But if he can't, then from what I understand, his younger brother can be potentially just as talented or more talented than him. So, I mean, there's 3 Ball brothers and 2 of them are in the league, but one of them isn't. And that's just what it is. LiAngelo, of course, is not. Where Alonzo, his knee apparently is one of the most unique knees in the freaking U.S. because doctors can't figure it out. He keeps being in pain when he's trying to play basketball activities. So right now, Alonzo Ball is just he's just hanging out in street clothes, collecting a good paycheck.
Yeah, they just shut him down for the season. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. They just shut Ball down for the season. So, and what's crazy is he was hurt in 2022. Like, I think it was either just before or just after the All-Star break in the 2022 season. Had the surgery, hadn't played at all this season, and you get to 2023 and you shut him down. So, if I'm the Bulls, obviously they're in tune with the situation. They've been following it, but it is something to, be a little bit concerned about. Yeah.
You gotta be nervous. I mean, this team is a disaster this year, and part of it is they don't have their main ball handler, and Lonzo would have been their main ball handler. So I think Chicago would definitely be better with him to be able to get the ball to Levine and DeRozan and Vucevic. But, when Alex Caruso or Ayo Dosunmu is doing it, it's not working out as well because they're not that double threat that Lonzo is, because Lonzo is a good shooter and he can play pretty good defense for his position. He has good size at his position. And he's an amazing passer. He's like a Ricky Rubio type of, like a wizard type passer in a sense. And so to me, I think the Bulls are missing a lot not having Lonzo since he's been down. I mean, they got their butts whooped in the first round of the playoffs last year by Milwaukee. And I mean, if they make the play-in, if they make it, it's going to be the same thing here. They need Lonzo pretty bad, and from the fact that he's obviously not going to play this year, it shows that I think Lonzo is that good of a player.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there, man. But
that's all I got, Derek.
It's a long. It was a really long and interesting, great conversation, man. You've been on for about an hour and a half, so that's pretty good. Normally, it's been a while. There's a lot to cover, and we still didn't cover everything, but this won't be your last time on. We'll see you again another week. But, hey, man, as always, brother, we always have great conversations, and appreciate you, coming in and calling in and, taking up some airtime for a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I'm happy to do it. We didn't even get to talk about the 2 best teams in the East, and we didn't talk about the Knicks, and there was still quite a bit to unfold, but for now, I feel like I gave you what I can do tonight, and hopefully next Wednesday we'll be able to have a show and be able to talk a little more NBA when all the teams are back from the All-Star break as they come back tomorrow, and to see how things go.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. You know, we will be on next Wednesday. Just a matter of, you know, if it's going to be a regular start time or due to the basketball game, a later start time. So they're still playing. Obviously, they won tonight, so they're advancing to the conference championship game, and then, you know, if they win that, then they advance on to the round of 64. You know, March Madness. So might be they got a pretty good roster, pretty good team. So these next few weeks could be a late start for the Rat Pack if they keep playing on Wednesdays. I'm gonna go and try to look and see if. Hold on now. Yeah, I'm gonna go try to see if I can get like a little bit of a update here. See exactly when this thing starts. But but anyways, William, Nicholas, man, appreciate you coming on. And you know, William Grace did say he was gonna call in after he finished eating. I guess he must have fell asleep while he was eating. But oh, that's you. Never mind. He probably did fall asleep. But
yeah, William probably did fall asleep.
Yeah, you know, he works a late schedule, so you never know with that guy. But man, as always, brother, you know, appreciate you calling in, and we'll catch you next week or next time, brother.
You got it. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Rat Pack Sports Show's Nicholas Lane, a.k.a. Nicky Buckets, bringing you probably I'm gonna just say it, man, best NBA segment you're gonna find out there by a bunch of, you know, no name guys. So